Okay, so the gray is now totally dry. As you can see, it's a darker gray. It's not completely blackish gray, but that's again because the wash wasn't intensely dark. As you can see, it's getting nice and craggy looking, and you're getting all the detail of the stonework in there. So the last step really is to add on those last two colors of paint. The thing is, you actually add them on together. It's a technique of mine that I don't know if others know you can do it or have done in the past. What you want to do is take your palette, and I just run a bead line, if you will, of the one color. So there's a little bit of the gray, and then take the green, and right next to that lighter gray, I'm going to run a line of the green. So they literally just sit right next to each other like that. From there, what I do is take the brush I've been using from before, the one that has a nice slanted angle, just kind of dab it into both of the colors and have your paintbrush fall apart. Not really. So you dab it into both of the colors, and what you start doing is sort of this pulling aspect, and it starts giving you the two different colors at the same time, which almost in a way sometimes ends up giving it sort of a marbled effect. So if you're ever trying to make something look marbled, try putting two different colors next to each other like that, and then just pulling them into the work itself, and you'll find you get like this neat blend of coloration. And as it dries, you'll actually notice it more. So it's kind of a neat way to go through and do things. So what I do is, again, sometimes I might blot off a little bit, but you just want to pull it down and through. Every step, you don't want to have it the exact same pull pattern, because otherwise you're going to have the same kind of color distribution, which you don't necessarily want to have. You kind of want to randomize it a little bit more, which you can kind of see happening here. Sometimes you might realize, like, oh, I need a little bit more green, so by all means pull in more green that way. You may feel you want to lighten things up with some more of the lighter gray, and again, go ahead and do that. It's going to be more of what type of final appearance you prefer to have and that you want to see in this. Again, I find it's the perfection comes in the imperfection of it all. So don't try and make every pull perfect or get the distribution exactly as you were expecting, because it's almost those little accidents that give you the happy results that you weren't even expecting. But as you can see, I'm working my way around, and then that way the colors kind of get pulled around and into each other, and it just makes for a really sharp effect. And it's not something that you might see on everything else either. If ever so often you realize I really want more of a certain color, then yeah, you can dip over to, right now I can tell I want more green in one area. So that's where you go and you pull more green onto the brush as opposed to the light gray. But honestly, I just find having two colors going at once, it gives you a variety of tones, and it gives a little bit more of a random approach to things. And in the long run, that's what kind of gives you that natural, really worn, old stone appearance that I have seen many times in various castles and things like that, even in, touring different countrysides of England, if you will. So I'm just working my way all the way down and around. So, as I work on a couple steps, I then go to the brickwork and I'll just, pull the colors down. And again, it doesn't have to be neat. Sometimes you actually do want to have more of a heavier distribution, because as this dries, that's what gives you your color variety and the more realistic look of, hey, this is, this is stone, it's not just styrofoam. But again, it's, work down the stairs, and then don't forget to do the same kind of thing of just the pulling the paint down and kind of making it go where you want it to. And it's just little by little, and it's honestly, once you get used to this technique, it's actually really fast, which is nice. And I find I use it a lot for things like walls and tile work sometimes, again, if you want more of a marbled look. And if you do want to try this technique with a marble effect, make sure one of your colors is a metallic. I know that sounds odd, but if you actually look at real marble, it has that sheen and that glow to it, and I found that a metallic paint mimics that. So by all means, if you're trying to, you know, make a marble tiled floor, try doing this with the two different colors, and you'll be surprised what happens by just adding that little bit of metallic to it. I even go around and do the bottom just to give it some variations too, and I just think it makes for a really cool effect in the long run and at the end of things. Don't forget to take it around your edges as well. If you leave your edges alone, then it's just sort of a flat gray, and that'll tend to get kind of boring on you, which I'm sure after putting all that work into this, you don't want to have happen. You want to have that dynamic, natural stone look to it. So again, just make sure you get around. And at this point, even when it is still wet, you can kind of look and see where you want to add more of the detail. I tend to go more towards the greens, especially if I'm like treating this as an old castle stairway, or you know, going down into a crypt or that type of thing. If you want to kind of give it more of a less worn and aged look, then you could also do the dark gray, or not the dark gray, but the mid-tone gray and a taupe. So it gives it a fresher look to the stonework, whereas the green definitely gives it an aged process. So right now, this is pretty much where I would like things to be. What it needs to do is just to dry. So once it's dry, what you'll find is it'll end up looking like this one. And it's a fun way to add a new element, and it's a great way to kind of get the imagination going, because you do get to use this where your figures can sit nicely on it, and you can get a whole bunch on there. I can even show you right now. So because you have the steps that can handle more than one figure, you can put, well, maybe, you can put your people up there, and like I said, you could almost write or work with a, you know, a scene where they have to do battle with each other on the staircase, and it works out nicely, and it's just a fun new twist on things, and it's a fun new way to introduce staircases into your layouts. So I hope this helped give you an idea as to how I went about creating this fun little spiral staircase. If you want to hang on for the very end, I'll show you the modification I made just to have a shorter staircase, and a lot of the techniques can be put to use from making this into making the other one. So sit tight and we'll start with that one soon. Alright, so this is the sort of modified staircase approach if you want. It's going to end up being something a little like this. It doesn't get to be very tall, but it still allows you to put the figures on there and stand more than just, you know, one at a time if you want. Instead of doing a 4-inch circle, I did something that was only 3. Instead of doing the for the base, I mean, instead of doing the 4-inch again, also for the stairs, shrunk that down to 2 inches. And then what I did, instead of cutting off the tips of the stairs or the wedges at that point, is I actually took a skewer, just a wooden skewer you can find at any grocery store or at Walmart or that type of place, and you shove it through all of the stairs you want to use. I found that 5 seems to be the magic number. Any more than that, they start to overlap each other, and then you can't stack your figures as you want to. So you would just basically fan out the steps as you want. Again, 5 seems the magic count, and right now I have 6, so I can show you what I mean. If you make it so it's 6, they start to interfere with each other, and it's not high enough so that a figure could be on the bottom step and have someone on the top. So 5 is kind of your magic number. Once you get it spaced out as you like on the skewer, kind of like this, what you can do is just sort of stab the skewer into your base, put some hot glue on it to hold it upright, and then just slowly start sliding down your steps. Glue the full step onto your base, and then the same thing, put hot glue on your edge and then you bring your next step down on top of it. And that way it just starts building things up for you, and you end up with a smaller but still a spiraled staircase. So it's sort of another twist on how to do it. So once you have this all settled and glued down, I just took a pair of nippers and cut off the rest of the skewer, unless you wanted to leave it long for some reason. That's completely up to you. But this is sort of the smaller, less height-driven form of a spiral staircase. It's a little bit faster to make too, obviously, but again, it's another option that you can put to use. And then just finish it however you want to. You can black wash it and do the stone detail. You can paint it, taupe and try and make it look like sandcastle stairs, or whatever you want to do. There's a lot of freedom in this, and it's a fun element that you can definitely add to things. So that's everything. That's the spiral staircase setup. I hope this has helped you out, and I hope to see some really cool creations soon. Thank you so much for watching this, and have a good one.